Here's why your mixes sound unfinished. There's a new definition for mixing, and it's more than just turning up faders and adding EQ and compression. It's about actual production technique, and I think we've confused the lines between mixing and production. So in this video, I'll make it very clear. To give you a simple answer, production is about sound designing a sound. We're transforming the intent of a sound. Mixing is about organizing and prioritizing sounds. So as soon as we start to change the intent of a sound, where it's going, adding more delay that wasn't there to initially add to a sound, that's when we're getting into more sound design and production. So here, let's play this track without any effects on it. Okay, I'm just gonna turn up the volume. So this is just the raw idea. Now a lot of it's already mixed because the synths themselves have effects on the sound. But once the other takes come in, that's when we can start to hear that it lacks production. So let's scoot over to more of the trap side. So here's where we can start to hear. And the stomp is just very dry. So we have to do more than just turn stuff up and turn stuff down and add EQ and compression and limiters. You know, that's when it goes beyond mixing, in my opinion. And this is where people have to trust your ear as a mixing engineer to produce the track, because now you're adding creative ideas. So for example, when the stomp comes in, I want it to be a long tail, boom. So what I'm going to do is actually change the intent of the sound. We're going to turn on Fruity Reverb 2, and we're going to send the stomp directly to the reverb. So now it's not a stomp and reverb, it's a stomp only through reverb, which changes the entire intent of the sound. Now it becomes more of a sound effect. So let me solo this so you guys can hear. So here's before. Okay, it's a stomp as per usual, but now let's turn on the reverb. And that small change is what separates a mixing engineer or mixing from sound design or the intent as a producer. And like I said, depending on your relationship with your client, they may give you range to add creative stuff, but some people just want you to leave their idea there and just enhance it. That move that I just did is more than just enhancing. That is changing the intent of the stomp itself. And that's where we lean into more sound design and production. So like I said, the simple definition, if I had to dumb it down, is anytime we're sound designing, that's when we're basically producing. Mixing is enhancing things. Okay, it's not changing the intent of something. So a lot of the second part of the track is all based on this reverb. I took away some of the vocals just so you guys didn't get bogged down by too much vocal production. But if I add the vocals back in, okay, now the decision as a producer was to send the vocals directly through the reverb, even with delay on the vocals as well, as you guys can hear. So that simple change, like if I take off the reverb, okay, so some of those out of key because I don't know where that vocal's coming from, so it's hard to run it through autotune, but the point is it's now a different instrument, okay? It's a whole different thing. And again, if we turn off the reverb and delay. Don't mind my terrible singing, but the point is it goes from this R&B singer sound to more this atmospheric. It changes the genre simply by me sending the vocals directly through the reverb. So this is the original recording. That's not a bad recording. But now let's change up the vibe by adding the reverb directly on the channels. Now, this is way more than a technical thing to do to add dimension and space. This is literally, like I said, we're changing the vocal to a pad. That's what we're doing here. And that small change, like I said, guys, that's what separates production from mixing. Okay, so I'm not telling you guys how to present yourself in the public. I'm just trying to help people who are getting into this area understand there's a difference between just editing and people who are adding creative input. Okay, so there's people who can edit really well and make something really polished, and then there's people who can have the permission to have creative allowance over a track. And that fundamentally, in my opinion, is what separates not just good engineers, but just mixing engineers from production. Like, for example, back in the day, let me go full screen. Back in the day, I had a mentor. I still technically do, but shout out to Ron DiSilvestro out of Philadelphia. He taught me how to record. And a producer in rock is different than a producer in hip hop, the way we perceive it. Because in rock, you have really talented artists. They know what they want to do. You know, you have an artist come in, they can really sing. You have a whole band. You have a person who plays bass, person who plays guitar, person who plays drums, and, you know, whatever the other instrument they play. And a producer's job back then usually is to create a product, because if you're commissioned by, let's say, Sony, Universal, or Warner to create something for a film, well, you have to wrangle in the guitar player, the right guitar player. You have to wrangle in the right people, organize them, have them work on one accord, and then put out a product that can be used in the film. So a producer's job is not only just to engineer the session, it's to make sure that you're getting the right people who gel together. It's about guiding the energy of the studio session so nothing bad happens. It's about finishing the product, and the product is the song. And that's the difference between a producer. It's not just that you're in the studio, it's that you're guiding people who are already experts. And I think that's what makes a good producer. Is a good producer can bring an entire band in and say, you guys should do this and shift this, and then it changes the entire output of the record. So what I'm saying is, back in the day, you know, a producer might be at the console, you know, moving faders up and down. They're doing more than just engineering. They're actually guiding the sound of that band. They're going through certain preamps, or they're going through certain compressor chains, or whatever it is on their, you know, setup. That's what creates the sound of the album. Okay, so they're going to that producer to create a sound. Yes, it's one thing to play in a band, but it's a different thing to have that polished studio sound. That's what they go to the producer for. Nowadays, producers contribute beats. It's not lesser than, it's just a different approach. So a producer now is almost like a band member. You know, it's the drummer, it's like a band all in one person, and then the artist is the singer of the band. So that's what I see modern production as in hip hop. Whereas rock music, you have whole experts coming in and you have to guide them. So it's more than just polishing up their intent. You're guiding their intent through what you can see the potential of their product being. And usually it's under your intent, because you're the producer hiring the band to do something, or people are coming to you for your sound. That's what creates this separation, in my opinion, from a producer and a beat maker, or even a mixing engineer. Now, mixing engineer, like I said, their job is just to enhance and get stuff to balance for the most part. I'm not saying that's the only thing mixing engineers do. I'm just saying that they're not there to create a sound unless they're trusted to have that creative allowance. And if you guys have that trust over people's records, then they're coming to you for your sound. So you're way more than just a mixing engineer, you're a producer. So shout out to you guys. It's Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. Leave your comments below about, are you a mixing engineer, producer, beat maker, however you guys feel. Let me know below. Peace.